Vultures Scavengers of Death is an attempt at merging turn-based strategy with survival horror. And while the concept is a really nifty one, I was hoping for a little bit more strategy to go with my scares. In Vultures, when an evil corporation unleashes a zombie virus on the city, it's up to the military extraction group Vultures to get in and figure out what really happened and who was responsible. And we're going to be doing that one turn at a time. Now, with the footage that you're seeing, it may be easy to assume that this is a roguelike or any kind of procedural generation, but no, this is a mission and story driven game. Each mission has you going to a specific location to complete goals. You'll alternate between the two members of the team. Each one has a different maneuver ability, which is kind of like their own tactical power, but they will share items, resources, and weapons from mission to mission. Now, when you're in the game, there's two kind of forms of turn-based design. When you're exploring outside of combat, every 7 steps you take counts as one quote-unquote turn. After 6 steps, enemies will do their own action. When you've been spotted or you initiate combat, you go into kind of the more standard, where you have 3 action points, 3 movement points, and when you complete your turn, all the enemies around will move and attack accordingly. Now, the kind of more decision-making or tactical decision-making the game is trying to go for is that you can aim for different parts on the enemy, either going for high damage but less chance to hit, or vice versa. And your different maneuvers allow you to adjust or reposition yourself or the enemies around you based on which ones you use. Now, the different enemies do occupy different roles. You have your kind of standard generic zombies, you have kind of elite zombies that can do all manner of annoying things, and you're going to have to figure out how to deal with them using the weapons that you have. Each level, or most levels, will have one bonus weapon that you can find, which will then become part of your roster going forward. And as an interesting touch, you'll find collectibles in each level that count as valuables, that you can then sell afterwards in order to unlock permanent upgrades. And this is kind of where Vultures begins to kind of lose both the strategic and the horror side. The upgrades, you only get 1 upgrade per weapon, but it will not only boost the stats of the weapon, but can also change some of its properties. Your combat knife, as an example, when it's upgraded, it will allow you to instantly kill all normal zombies, provided you go for backstabs and you're out of combat. And stealth and kind of long range does break the game a little bit. The crossbow is your long range stealth option. It's so stealthy that you can shoot an enemy in the head with it while they're facing you, and they won't be alerted by the fact that they're getting bolts in the middle of their face. And this takes us to kind of the problem I think that Vultures has. The kind of strategic or tactical options either feel too good or not worth it, or not worth the point to spend. And it has to again with what you're trying to achieve. If you're in the middle of a really tough fight, there's 3 or even just 2 elite enemies, why should I try to reposition myself if I could just throw a Molotov? Or just get around a corner or try to use the grapple tactic to pull or push them off a ledge. At one point we had a boss fight, and this guy's nasty. He can move so much further than you, so you can't get away from him. He'll summon enemies or open up doors to release enemies to attack you. And the kind of point that the game wanted me to do was to get around the enemy, hit an electrical switch, and kind of electrify the floors. But that would mean basically being out in the open and taking all manner of damage. So the far easier way was to get inside one of the cells and just kind of step out, poke him with a knife, go back in, close the door, rinse and repeat. And it was ultra cheese, but it was incredibly effective. And I kind of wonder if it would have been better if your different tactics had their own kind of resource that you could use during combat. Because again, given the choice of push an enemy, pull an enemy, or whatever, or just shoot them in the head, which one do you think would be better? And even with saying that, there is a very overpowered tactic in the form of pushing enemies. Normally, if you try to escape from an enemy's zone of control, they may get a free opportunity hit. Or if you push them, it kind of disables that. And if you push them into any other object, it stuns them. That on paper doesn't sound overpowered, but you see what happens is, if you're only fighting one enemy and you stun them, it disables combat or turns off because technically there's no other enemies that are active. So you can get into this cycle of push enemy against the wall, hit them with a gun or a knife. You get back into combat to then push them against the wall again to take out of combat, rinse and repeat until they're dead, and there's nothing the enemy can do against you. And the only times where the game starts to feel even a little bit challenging is when you start dealing with like SWAT enemies who have shield and armor. But again, fire or some of the heavier weapons will just take them out. And as I said in the Stinger, I think this game has a really great concept, trying to be more of a turn-based strategy take on survival horror. But it doesn't quite, I think, know what it wants to be. If it wants to be more horror related, then we need to make these enemies nastier, make combat harder. If it wants to be more tactical related, then there needs to be a greater purpose for getting around these things, other than, again, just backstab, crossbow stab, or throw a bunch of Molotov and grenades in the enemy until dead. Now, some of the later levels do introduce some actual boss fights where you have to do something different, and they do play out quite nicely compared just to the regular battles you'll get into. But again, the game never really gets, I think, super difficult. As long as you keep upgrading your weapons, you should be more than able to handle anything that it will throw at you. If you don't mind, again, the kind of awkwardness of the game, I would say this is still worth a play for probably more strategy fans than survival horror. I do hope that we see this concept get fleshed out, no pun intended, in the future. So with that, Vultures was played with a press key. If you did play this one, let me know what you thought of it. The game has received several quality of life updates since launch, and it may even be a little bit more different when you check this one out in the future. But let me take a look at your game. It's designed to be turn-based, real-time, zombies, or not zombies. Be sure to get in touch. And with that, thanks for tuning in, and come back for more discussions on design and indie games coming soon. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.